has any ill will with our performances or anything with what's going on in the world around us now?
Oh, no, I really don't think so. I think that music is not a political decision or a political statement. Music is human. It is a human statement, and we provide a great variety of music. We recognize often using music that is from the country that we're visiting as an homage to them and to their culture. And they know, the people coming to these performances know that they're coming to be entertained, that we are the ambassadors of American music. So they know what to expect.
Um, half of my questions. Okay, I'm here with Brett Mascarro, the head director for the Silver Tour, and we're going to ask him some questions. So, Brett, how long have you been with the Silver Tour?
Well, this will be my 16th year. They would be consecutive if it weren't for COVID, but yeah, it's been a great experience. I served as an assistant director for a number of years, and then head director for quite a few also in the second half of my involvement with AMA.
And how has the Silver Tour evolved over the years?
Well, there are many things that are very common. The standard, the quality, even many of the locations haven't changed for all of the years that I've been on the tour. But I think probably the most notable thing that's changed is the technology. The technology has provided many more kind of opening experiences and sort of educational opportunities for the students as they travel with those little computers in their hands. And it
Now,
also makes communication easier as well.
what made you start working for American Music Abroad?
Well, I was a director at a high school in which I was contacted by a head director of American Music Abroad, one who had been with American Music Abroad for, I don't know, 25 years at this point, maybe even 30 at this point. And he was looking for my cooperation to recommend students for his tour. And so I became aware of AMA in that way. And then after some time, a college buddy of mine and colleague as a high school band director invited me to come on as an assistant director to help him with the Silver Tour. It took some convincing, but as it turns out, it was a great experience. It really just worked into a lot of the things that I love about life, which is music and travel and cultural experiences and all that sort of thing. So I came on board the Silver Tour at that point, again, 16 years ago. And then I took over as the head director partway through that time.
That's great. And what do you think it takes to successfully lead your tour?
I guess there are a number of things that go into it. I think at first it is understanding what motivates students and then somehow transferring that information to parents who are ultimately going to make the decision. These are not students that are going to make the decision without their parents, right? This is something that's a family decision. So I think that's an important thing as it comes to promoting American Music Abroad and promoting European travel with music performance. And that's a unique thing about American Music Abroad. And American Music Abroad does it very well. I think the other thing is sort of developing the culture of the tour in some ways, sort of the tone, the cooperation that's needed to have a successful tour. And when everyone's kind of working together, a successful tour is basically, it's a happy tour. So I think creating that culture among the staff and the student participants is really essential.
That's great. How do you pick your repertoire for the tour?
Well, it's a multi-step process. And again, it comes back to initially working with a staff of people that we trust one another. So the music educators that are on the Silver Tour, many have worked with the Silver Tour for multiple years, and we're friends outside of the tour. So the first thing is that we communicate well. During the recruiting process, or just after students register for the tour, they are asked to submit not an audition recording because they're recommended by their directors. That's really what we need for them to travel with us. But we ask them to submit a sample recording. And after a while, when we get those sample recordings submitted, then the staff listens to those recordings. We look for what the skill set is, sort of what the average skill set is, but we also look for performers that are really excellent that we can feature based on their instrument choice or their voice part. And then we try to find the weaknesses and make sure that those weaknesses are not going to hold us back because we want to be excellent and expressive. But we choose the repertoire based upon challenging the students enough and then entertaining our audience. And I really find that that's really essential. I've told the staff on the Silver Tour, we don't need to prove anything to anyone about how difficult music, the level of difficulty that we play. In many ways, it's about entertainment, but we want good music. So the quality of the music as opposed to the difficulty of the music goes into our decisions. And then we just look for a variety of things. And we also know that the European audiences love their marches.
Right. And how do you think the European market accepts your music?
Well, I think the European market accepts our music. I think they recognize that we are a student group and of young musicians. They can see the sort of genuineness of our performance. They see the heart and the character of the students and their effort at making great music. And I think in that regard, their applause is based on the thanks that we're there and that we're entertaining them. But I think there's also another level, and I see that connection that happens usually at the end of the very first concert when we do the finale, and then the audience applauds, and then we ask the students to stand up and to look into the audience and smile and wave. And when I look back at the audience, the smiles and the waves that return are just joyful.
Yeah, it's great. And do you think the European market has any ill will with our performances or anything with what's going on in the world around us now?
Oh, no, I really don't think so. I think that music is not a political decision or a political statement. Music is human. It is a human statement, and we provide a great variety of music. We recognize often using music that is from the country that we're visiting as an homage to them and to their culture. And they know, the people coming to these performances know that they're coming to be entertained, that we are the ambassadors of American music. So they know what to expect. And yes, we give them some American styles or American composers, but music is music, and it's meant for the heart, not for the other reasons that might keep people from coming to our performance.
Great. Thank you. How do you think your students grow with musically on these tours?
Well, I think there are a number of things that happen with their musical growth. In essence, the students that come together on these tours, they're all strangers, and they're strangers. And then within 2.5 days of the beginning of the tour, they turn into a musical ensemble, and that happens through the leadership of the music educators and conductors. And I think that's an important point of growth. But I think it's the experience that they have continues to happen after those first 2 or 2.5 days when we learn the music. And it's not just musical excellence, because obviously the more time you spend performing together and the ensemble performs together, they're going to continue to get better because they open themselves up. They open their ears and their eyes and their heart to the music. And over time, the music is going to excel in its quality and its expression. So I think those things happen over time. But to me, the most amazing part of this experience is that we'll often have, one student per school, or as many as, I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 from a school. But when all of those different groups come together, whether they are a small group from a school or an individual, they bond together as a single group. And that's much like, we'll see in many states, and especially in Pennsylvania, we have district and region and all state level honors festivals. And that's the way we treat this. We treat it as an honors festival. So many students that have participated in those festivals know what it's like to come together with yourself, your instrument, your voice, your music, and then to combine with others and to grow over the course of that time spent together.
How do you feel the students develop maturity wise, as well as building friendships?
Well, their growth on a personal level is depending on a lot of factors. I think every student well, let's put it this way. Some students grow more than others, but all students are changed. And I think it's based a lot on their maturity, their confidence. What is the purpose for them on the trip? So while it varies, I think the sort of progression of expectation through realization, through the sense of accomplishment, that sequence happens with all students. And regardless, they're going to have great memories and they're definitely going to create new lifelong friends.
Yeah. Yeah, I talked to a student yesterday who traveled with 7 other students from his school, but he didn't really know any of them. But he's now got 10 new friends that aren't from his school, and he's been out for 2 years and he talks to them on a regular basis. So it's
Yeah,
pretty
no,
cool.
that's a great story. And we hear that all the time of just, they find commonalities between their relationship to their music program or their school, and then sharing that with others from other schools is really a bonding experience.
Do you have favorite locations you've traveled to in the past?
Well, I think through legacy, one of the favorite locations for me is Westendorf, and it's just it, I think I've been to Westendorf every year. It is a place that has embraced not only the Silver Tour, but has embraced AMA in general. As a town that's built on the tourism and ski business, I guess during the winter times, when we get there in June or July or early August, we are their tourism, and they have embraced that. I don't know the inner workings of how AMA keeps that going, but I think it's an amazing thing. So we get to know the people and the leaders of the tourism bureau. We knew the mayor for years. I guess that was his title, right? And so I think that just from a legacy standpoint, I think that's got to be one of my favorites. But I think there's also from Westendorf, we have these day trips, and each year one of the day trips is go to the glacier, which the students love the glacier. It is such an amazing thing to have snow in July. And but usually after the glacier, we come off the glacier, we go have dinner, and then we perform in one of the small villages. I'll say around Meyerhofen, and it is spectacular to be able to perform with the backdrop of the Alps in these outdoor venues. And so I just look in the eyes of the students, and they're performing and they're concentrating, but then when they're done, they're just looking up into the snow-covered Alps in around Meyerhofen.
Yeah. Switching gears a little bit, what has been the proudest moment of your 16 years of being part of the Silver Tour?
Well, that's a huge question, as you can imagine. And since I thought this might come up, I had to think about if it's about my personal experience, then I would have to say it is two main things. The people that I've met and worked with, both from the AMA office to the staff, the chaperones, the medical crew, to John Leonard, who's an amazing escort and helps to coordinate concert sites for all the AMA tours and has been doing it for decades. Those things are really awesome. But I think the best moment for me was when I had a chance to travel with my daughter. And it's been a while. She's older now, but an amazing experience to be in Europe with her as a performer on the AMA Silver Tour.
What performance moment consistently gives you chills?
Ooh. Well, I think the performance moments that are exciting. I already mentioned one, which is when we have a chance to perform in the Austrian Alps, and to be able to see a backdrop of snow-covered Alps in the middle of July and perform for an audience in an outdoor venue like that. But I think this past year, 2025, the Silver Tour had a chance to perform in Nuremberg, and we were at I think it's pronounced Saint Sebald, the cathedral there, and we had a chance to perform for some dignitaries. And to me, that I talked about being musical ambassadors, and for me, that was an amazing experience. In the audience that day were many dignitaries, including the consul general and also the Ansbach military commandant. And just to shake their hand. And then afterwards, we all joined together at a local restaurant. Actually, I think we had dinner after the concert. So we joined all together in a local restaurant, and it was just amazing to be side by side with those very important people.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, well, I think we're going back to that same place this year.
Oh, wonderful.
Not not with your tour.
That's okay. Somebody else needs to have the chance to experience it.
That's right. Why should parents feel confident about sending students on the silver tour?
Well, confidence is based on trust, and I think that years of experience would allow parents to recognize the trust that they can have, or that we want to collaborate with them so that they have that trust. That the AMA staff is committed to safety, and they're committed to quality throughout the entire itinerary. And when I think about some of the travel that I've done with AMA, I've felt very confident and very trusting in the quality of the air travel. The coach companies are amazing. They're almost more friends than they are people that are hired to take us, on our ground transportation throughout Europe. The meals are very interesting. They're culturally different, and I think that's a high quality. The hotels, we have a variety of hotels, and I feel like the quality has been consistent, whether they are, it's probably not fair to say American style hotel, but also the quaint bed and breakfasts, pensions that we see in some of the smaller towns. So I think all of those. Oh, and then the concert sites. I think that AMA does a great job, and I think parents can trust, based on our legacy, based on our years of experience, they can trust that we're going to create a great experience for their child.
It's great. Thank you. Why is the silver tour a once in a lifetime experience?
Well, there are so many reasons. I mean, the sum is greater. What do they call it? The whole. The whole is greater than the sum of the parts. I guess I should have written that one down. But I think the AMA in general and the Silver Tour specifically, just our immersion into the culture, the art, the history, the food, the architecture, the music, and the people of the areas that we see. Really, it is a once in a lifetime experience for most students in our high schools, and it's life changing. So, you know, I'm happy to be a part of it, and I have to boast a little bit, because after doing a little research on over 50 years, which tour has traveled the most regularly and has the greatest quantity of tours is the Silver Tour. And I know the Gold Tour doesn't want to hear that, but I did my research.
That's great. Now, you do a lot of recruiting. What would you say to a student of why they should be a part of American Music Pro?
Well, and again, I go back to all of the things that we just talked about, what makes it a once in a lifetime experience, and what would give parents the trust in all of that. What I would say to them is to take a look at, well, we do a great presentation. So when parents and students come to a presentation of the tour itself, it's very thorough. I mean, it's under an hour, but it's very thorough, and it really gives them some visual and even audio representations of tours that we've done in the past. And I think that if they can, again, between the presentations, our history, and developing the trust, that I think a student could easily look at it as a truly life-changing experience. And they're going to meet a lot of new friends, and they're going to visit a lot of places and see a lot of things and perform for some very enthusiastic audiences with American Music Abroad.
Great. After your 16 years, what does this experience mean to you personally?
Well, I enjoy leading the tour, or participating in the tour, just for personal reasons. It's the love of travel, the love of music, the love of the educators that I get a chance to work with, the chaperones, the medical folks, and then it's the love of students. I just think there's a joy, there's a passion, especially when it's something so new and so fresh, that many of them have never even been out of the country, and some have never been on an airplane. So those are the students that it's just so satisfying to see their growth through the course of the tour.
Great. All right, I'm going to ask you 5 questions that I'm going to ask you to repeat after me and then finish the sentence.
Oh,
After 16 tours ish,
yeah.
I still lead because
After 16 tours, I still lead because I love travel, I love music, I enjoy working with the staff of the Silver Tour and watching students grow.
Great. The moment that never gets old is?
Well, on the Silver Tour, the moment that never gets old is two of them. There's two farewell dinners. There's one before we leave the country, and then there's one before we return. And the expectation on the front end, and then I guess we'd call it the afterglow or the satisfaction before the return it's just really exciting to see the student reactions.
Great. The Silver Tour changes musicians by?
I'll start over on that one.
Sure.
The Silver Tour changes musicians by creating bonds that last a lifetime.
Great. One word describes the Silver Tour.
The one word to describe the Silver Tour is amazing.
And if you're considering this tour, know this.
If you're considering an AMA tour, know this. You'll sample the depth and variety of European culture as an ambassador of American music and make many lifelong friends.